for this resolution. Mr. Speaker, I therefore commend the resolution to the Honorable House for approval.
The motion is before the House for debate. Yeah. You are surprised you're moving too slow. Honorable Lloyd, you are recognized. You may proceed.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. No, we're not gentlemen in here. No? Not in that house. No. Not in that house. Mr. Speaker, let me firstly say a pleasant good evening to you and to all of my parliamentary colleagues this evening. Mr. Speaker, the core principle of the Dominican Labour Party is that all shall eat. But the truth is, Mr. Speaker, for all to eat, all needs to be able to afford. Mr. Speaker, what we are proposing here this evening are measures to be able to equip the common man to be able to afford, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this government, in its wisdom, has recognized that due to a plethora of exogenous shocks and existential threats, that the standard of living, the cost of living has now increased significantly, Mr. Speaker. And that's the reality. And this is not a reality that is only unique to Dominica, Mr. Speaker. It is a global reality. Because what we have seen in recent years is the impacts of geopolitical activities and events increasing the rate of inflation, Mr. Speaker, globally. And we speak to the incessant insurgencies and wars. We speak to a global pandemic, Mr. Speaker. We speak to natural disasters. We speak to COVID-19, and the list goes on and on, all having a trickle-down effect on small island developing states such as Dominica, Mr. Speaker. In essence, making life much more difficult to live. Mr. Speaker, and in all of these recent years, this government administration, let me correct myself, this Dominica Labour Party government administration, Mr. Speaker, have always implemented social safety nets to cushion the impacts of global growing inflation rate, Mr. Speaker. So, for example, earlier today, my comrade, Honorable Pinat, spoke to a number of those social safety nets, Mr. Speaker, to include our back-to-school program, Mr. Speaker. Right now, what we would have otherwise considered as luxuries back then is now a right to every single student in Dominica, Mr. Speaker. I'm speaking of the uniform program, Mr. Speaker, free uniforms, free shoes, Mr. Speaker, free books, textbooks. Mr. Speaker, we speak of these things and some people downplay its impacts. But the truth is, majority of us in here can agree that it was not easy to attend school back in the days. I remember, Mr. Speaker, starting a fresh academic school year with big holes in my shoes, with stains on my shirt, borrowing old books, Mr. Speaker, borrowing old books, Mr. Speaker, from my friends and siblings, Mr. Speaker. That is the truth. I'm sure every single one of us in here can empathize with those sentiments, Mr. Speaker. Every single one, with no exception, Mr. Speaker.
Yeah. Proceed, Honorable. Stay focused.
I'm focused, Mr.
Yes.
Speaker. I know. Mr. Speaker, but... So, Mr. Speaker, government is doing this thing in an effort to keep monies in the pockets of its citizens, Mr. Speaker. When we look at the areas of college, for example, the exemption of tuition fees at the college, again, done to keep monies in the pockets of the parents of these students, Mr. Speaker. The construction of these thousands of homes for Dominicans, again, done in an effort to keep the monies in the pockets of the citizens of Dominica. Now, Mr. Speaker, we are a government who listens to the people. What they have said to us is that they appreciate that we are creating ways to keep monies in their pockets. But right now, they want us to make that money stretch, Mr. Speaker. They want us to make that money stretch. So what we are proposing before this honorable house are measures to make that money stretch, Mr. Speaker, to make life easier, more palatable for the common man. Because the reality is, and it irks me, Mr. Speaker, to know that there are people among us who are heavily critical of these measures that we are proposing. And under the same breath, Mr. Speaker, they are praising and acknowledging sister countries who are proposing those same measures, Mr. Speaker, in the name of politics. Mr. Speaker, the truth is, in our society, there are different classes of people. There are the négociants, or what we call the bourgeoisie among us, Mr. Speaker. They might be able to afford a pound of garlic or a bag of garlic. But the reality is, there are people who are unable to afford a head of garlic, Mr. Speaker. So these measures are done so that you can use that same 50 cents, instead of using that same 50 cents to buy a head of garlic, you can now purchase 2 heads of garlic, Mr. Speaker. If we speak about all shall eat, why should I only eat butter or peanut butter and you're eating corned beef, Mr. Speaker? Let us make corned beef affordable for everyone to be able to afford, Mr. Speaker. And that is what this government is doing, identifying some of the critical areas that are seen as insignificant to some, that are absolutely significant to others, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it would have been remiss of me to sit here and not stand knowing that I could add my voice to something remotely positive, something impactful, something, as I said, that can stretch the monies that are being kept in the pockets of our citizenry, Mr. Speaker. I want to use this opportunity to also encourage my parliamentary colleagues to espouse what we are proposing, Mr. Speaker, measures that are before this honorable house. Because at the end of the day, it might not affect you directly, but I can almost assure you that there is a constituent that is going to be happy as a result. And I want to furthermore say to the people of Dominica, Mr. Speaker, for you, that as long as this Dominica Labour Party-led government administration is in power, Mr. Speaker, is in office, we'll continue to do what it takes to espouse and to encourage these sort of measures to make life easier for the people of Dominica, Mr. Speaker. Having this few words said, Mr. Speaker, I wholeheartedly support these measures before this honorable house. I thank you very much.
Your mic. Your mic is off. Yes, Honorable Blanchard, you are recognized. You may proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I seek your indulgence to refer to my prepared notes, please.
So you get the memo for next year? So let's proceed.
We'll talk about that, Mr. Speaker, another time.
Let's proceed. Let's proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise with absolutely no reservation in full support of this value-added tax schedule order 2025 brought to this honorable house to be affirmed. And I do so, Mr. Speaker, as this policy measure presented and approved in the fiscal year 2025-2026 budget is for the removal of the VAT tax on a selected basket of goods, some grocery items, as we heard from the Honorable Minister for Finance, thereby making those items more affordable. This basket, just the goods that were listed as it is called, was deemed to be a mix of basic goods or groceries that are purchased by the majority of citizens in Dominica, especially our vulnerable households. I stand here today, Mr. Speaker, knowing that the central purpose of this amendment is clear to everyone. It's not just clear to everyone, Mr. Speaker. The truth is that every Dominican household, all of Dominica, we are already benefiting from this policy. Mr. Speaker, the measure is all about providing direct and immediate support relief to our people, families, households across Dominica in the face of imported inflation and persistent high food prices. Yes, Mr. Speaker, This is yet another initiative by this Labour Party government that is consistent with its motto that all shall eat. This bill, Mr. Speaker, is not an abstract policy. Rather, it is practical, timely, and deliberate by this caring and working Dominica Labour Party government to ease the pressures of the relatively high cost of some basic commodities or groceries. This small but significant amendment is all about the weekly shopping basket of every Dominican household. It is about the single mothers across the Roseau North constituency deciding what to put on their table for their families. It is about the pensioners, the public servants, the young families across the length and breadth of this island trying to stretch every dollar to keep their families fed and healthy. Mr. Speaker, we do not live in isolation, as we heard my colleagues say. Global shocks, including pandemics, geopolitical tensions, higher oil prices and freight costs, climate-related disruptions have all influenced and pushed food prices upward globally. And we in Dominica and in small island states, we too are also feeling this. Dominica has felt that pressure sharply because as a small open economy, we import a significant share of what we consume, and world prices pass quickly to local shelves. So, this bill is part of a broader national duty by this government to soften the blow of external pressures on the people of Dominica. But, Mr. Speaker, let me put a pin in it. Let me move slightly away from the discussion on the imported items to a discussion on an even wider package to enhance food security. To the people of Dominica, I say to you that your government has strategically, for more than 2 decades, invested millions and millions of dollars in the agricultural sector to ensure food security. I dare say that this is yet another opportunity for us as a people to truly begin the substitution of some imported goods for locally produced goods. And I do not want this little plug-in to seem abstract, Mr. Speaker, so allow me to explain what I mean by that. Let us together look at a couple of the items. I'm only going to pick 3 of the items on that list. Orange juice. I mean, that one is obvious. We in Dominica, we have a variety of fruits available locally for juicing, making the substitution of that orange juice a fairly easy one once the concession ends. And I might even say we can even start now. In addition, we can boast of a number of small businesses that have fresh local juices available locally. And for those who are more health conscious, as your government continues to advocate and educate us on the prevention of CNCDs while reminding us that our health is our wealth, the option of substituting juice with water is another great option. Yes, I do it sometimes as well, Mr. Speaker. Another item, unsweetened biscuits. The substitutes, again, are endless with respect to this. There are so many options locally for other healthy snacks like chips, and we all know that there are assortment of them available, produced locally on the market. I even have my favorite, and I dare say those of us in this house have a favorite as well, our plantain chips. Saltfish is another one that I want to suggest, Mr. Speaker. While this is a favorite for many households in Dominica, I'm sure a lot of us are not aware that there's an alternative, Mr. Speaker, to the saltfish. Mr. Speaker, I know of one entrepreneur in the Southeast who prepares and sells smoked tuna and marlin purchased from local fisher folks. You know that person, right, Honorable Minister? This is another great substitution for saltfish, and it's prepared in the very same way, and it is actually delicious. Mr. Speaker, what I'm trying to do is to say to us that while the government is helping us with those direct subsidies in the form of a removal of the VAT, we too can help ourselves by starting to think of what is it that we can buy that is just as healthy locally in order for us to stretch our dollars like we are trying to help with. In short, this discussion was meant to remind us as a people that this is yet another great opportunity to continue to grow what we eat and eat what we grow, as this Labour Party government continues to prioritize investments in agriculture and support to small agro businesses, including technical support through the Ministry of Labour's Small Business Unit, the DYBT, the Aid Bank with its loan facilities, to name a few. Mr. Speaker, I move back to the core of the bill that we are debating. As we have been discussing, the amendment implements a budget measure to extend VAT exemptions on essential food and household items for a period of 6 months. Listen in public, it's for a period of 6 months, which began on October 1, 2025, and will end March 31, 2026. During that period, VAT will not be charged on the importation, and neither should it be included at any stage of the sale on those selected items as presented and approved in fiscal year 2025-2026 budget. Let me remind our listeners and viewers, Mr. Speaker, that the list includes everyday basics, and some of them saltfish, herring, our canned meats, tuna, mackerel, corned beef, smoked herring, cereals, onions, garlic, the unsweetened biscuits and the orange juice and tomato ketchup, and things of that kind. Notice, Mr. Speaker, that there are no luxury goods included in that list. For those people, note we do not have any. Pardon? No, exactly. We do not have any Johnny Walker double black or blue or gold whiskey. We don't have any salmon. We don't have any ice cream. It is really the basic things that we need. The approved list, again, includes staples, food items that keep households going week after week. Mr. Speaker, I want to explain a bit further so that people, Dominicans, can get a better appreciation of the true impact of this measure. VAT is a consumption tax. When prices rise, VAT can amplify the burden on households because it is applied as a percentage of the total value of the good. Through the exemption of the VAT on these items, government is reducing the final shelf price for these goods, the final price that we will pay. In simple terms, the amendment lowers the cost of food items in that basket, which is the list presented. And so, Mr. Speaker, our citizens, every Dominican household automatically benefits every time they purchase those items, but again, for the specified period of 6 months. Mr. Speaker, inflation is not felt equally. Those low-income households, including some single-parent households, pensioners, minimum wage earners, and the unemployed, for example, are going to feel it first and the hardest, and one may ask why. The reason is generally they spend a larger percentage of their monthly expenditure on food. Make no mistake, Mr. Speaker, this amendment is a social protection measure, and it reflects this government's enduring philosophy to always take care of the vulnerable amongst us. Some may ask about revenue implications. I want to emphasize that this government is not reckless. The VAT system is one of the pillars of our revenue framework, set at a standard rate of 15% except for the accommodation sector. But a caring government will not only be concerned about collecting revenue, rather, it will make deliberate, strategic, and targeted policies to provide the people of this country with the breathing space when needed. A quick search online was confirmation that this government is on the right track. Not that I needed the confirmation, but for some people, I think it's always important to share what I see is published. Mr. Speaker, I want to refer to a question and answers on the website of the International Monetary Fund that was last updated on November 21, 2025, and it is titled, and I quote, "Impact of High Food and Fuel Prices on Developing Countries, Frequently Asked Questions," end quote. Allow me, Mr. Speaker, to share with you and the listening public some of those questions and answers. One question was, and I quote, "What can and should be done?" End quote. And the answer, I quote, "Policy responses need to be tailored to country-specific circumstances," end quote. With one option presented being, I quote again, "Temporary price increases can be mitigated by temporary targeted subsidies or increased aid to protect the poorest," end quote. Members of Parliament, Mr. Speaker, through you, I'm asking my colleagues, isn't this what this caring Dominica Labour Party government is doing? This is exactly what the IMF has said, and this is exactly what it is we are doing. Interestingly, another option, and I quote, "The most effective response for developing countries is to seize the opportunity and step up efforts to encourage expansion of domestic agricultural production," end quote. Again, that is something that I mentioned earlier, that this government has made targeted investments of millions and millions of dollars in the agricultural sector. And that is something that no one can deny, because we have heard my neighbor who's missing today, the Honorable Minister for Agriculture, we have heard him in very passionate presentations in this Honorable House speak to the number of accomplishments of the agricultural, in the agricultural sector, again, because of our targeted attention and investments in that sector. Mr. Speaker, I want to again remind the public through you that this amendment, the removal of the VAT on those selected items, is time-bound. It is only for a period of 6 months, and it already began on the 1st of October. Let us all take advantage of this benefit. While some may criticize this measure as temporary, I say to them that this policy will be judged by whether it assists persons in Dominica to purchase food at a lower price. This relief is a rational, compassionate response to the realities of the world economy. Responsible governments act. And this is what this Labour Party administration is doing, and I dare say has always done. We are responding to a current spike in prices while leaving room to review conditions and, if necessary, adjust policies based on the evidence. If global prices stabilize, the temporary relief would have done its job. If shocks continue, government retains the flexibility to extend or refine the current policy measure as needed. As noted before, Mr. Speaker, this amendment is one part of a larger strategy. As a government, we are also investing heavily in agriculture, livestock, fisheries, agro-processing, so that we can import less over time and produce more at home. In other words, we are providing short-term relief while building long-term resilience. Reducing VAT on selected essentials help us now while we are strengthening local production to prevent the next shocks from hitting us even harder. Mr. Speaker, as a parliamentary representative for the Roseau North constituency, I see how rising food prices squeeze families in that area. In communities across the constituency, my people are stretching budgets to cover rent, electricity, transport, school costs, while trying to feed their families with dignity. Our constituency includes many single-parent households, retirees, public officers, fisher folk, and small business operators. For them, even a small reduction per item multiplies into a meaningful monthly savings, and I dare say times 6, because it's going to be for 6 months. In short, Mr. Speaker, I have no doubt that this amendment will be felt in every household across the Roseau North constituency, and I welcome it as a parliamentary representative who is always looking for ways to help my people. In summary, this bill sends a strong signal, and that signal is this Labour Party government hears the people and is prepared to implement policies to protect them. I therefore commend the Minister of Finance and this government for bringing this amendment, as it is timely, practical, and rooted in the lived experiences of families across Dominica. It provides immediate cost of living relief and enables the people of Dominica and ensures that the people of Dominica can live with security, stability, and hope. With these few words, Mr. Speaker, I give my full support to this amendment. Thank you. You shouldn't move your seat. For moving to opposition.
Yes, Honorable Anderson, you may proceed.
Yeah, I don't like to be in the view of the camera. My apologies. So I was just, excusing myself. Mr. Speaker, I rise to support the waiver, or should I say the zero rating of the VAT on the selected items, goods. I think it's an essential step, but I just wanted to put a new context to it, or to add something to it that is very important to know. Well, there's no need for anything surgical. This is food. You can have, surgery and people eating food, so I'll have to get something else to say. But, Mr. Speaker, the other aspect that I wanted to add is the fact that zero rating the VAT on these items is also accompanied by the zero rating of the tariffs, the importation tax on these items. And the Ministry of Trade is responsible for ensuring that within the CARICOM external tariff system, because we are part of CARICOM, and CARICOM is one of the pillars of that integration within the region, is the common external tariff. This means that goods produced outside of CARICOM, and that is, of course, not produced by member states with the requirements of the rules of origin, meaning that a certain amount of that good must be manufactured, produced, and really come from that member state, that there is a tax that all CARICOM countries agree to place on those goods that come from outside of the region. In addition, Mr. Speaker, once CARICOM member states can provide a minimum of 75% of the production that is required within the CARICOM, within your country, for example, so in this case, Dominica, then a tax must be placed on that same good originating from outside the CARICOM. So, a case in point, soaps. We produce soaps in Dominica, DCP successors, and therefore soaps that come from outside of CARICOM will attract a tax, a tariff, when they enter into a CARICOM member state. Some countries are having difficulties with that. They've suspended the CET on soaps, and we're urging them to replace the CET. Now, as it pertains to these goods, the 22 items that we have here before us today, submitted by the Minister of Finance, we also had to go to CARICOM through the Committee of Trade Ministers, the COTED. We had to go to the COTED, which we did last week, Mr. Minister of Finance. We were expecting to submit the report to you very soon so that you can see what was approved by the COTED. And fortunately for us, COTED has approved the suspension of the CET on all 22 items. Now, we didn't expect that, to be very honest. And the reason we didn't expect CARICOM to agree with us is that some of these goods are produced within the regions, and those member states have the capacity to provide more than 75% of what we need, and therefore, they should be protected. But CARICOM decided that they will give us the initial period as requested by the Ministry of Finance and articulated by the Minister of Finance in the budget address, and will allow those goods to be zero rated on the CET. So that Trinidad and Tobago, for example, producing cereal, they have agreed, they did not object to us removing the protection of their cereal coming into Dominica by zero rating those coming from outside of Dominica. But there is something that also is important to add, which I shared with my colleagues last week. And one of the things we gave them a commitment is that we will urge our importers, our supermarkets, to import more of the CARICOM stuff. It's already zero rated. It doesn't attract a tariff. That we urge our local importers to buy more CARICOM products because they from the list, actually, only 8 items that are not produced adequately in CARICOM. So the majority of the list, really, we have those items being produced within CARICOM. And we urging our importers to continue to import CARICOM goods and to ensure that, you know, we do not destroy the common single market and economy, the CARICOM single market and economy, which is based on the common external tariff. So we're really urging them that even in spite of the fact that we have a suspension of the CET on products from outside of the region, we really wish they would still procure more from within the region as far as possible. But I gave a commitment here as well during the budget debate that the Ministry of Trade will be monitoring the prices of goods on the shelves. And I wish to report that we have actually done this. We've done the first 2 rounds and expecting to do a third round by December. And so far, and the initial inspection, what we found is that the importers are really reflecting the zero rated by and large. We felt that there was a great effort on their part to, even if some of them had stock, but they were able to start reflecting the zero rating on these items, and we were very, very happy for that. In addition, there's something that was reported to me this morning that we also found out, is that the importers were importing less expensive brands. So instead of bringing too much Kellogg's, they would bring in a brand. So they were trying their best to really help with this cost of living issue by, you know, responding to the consumers. And we have to commend them for that. And we support them for doing that, because that is also a very important part of it. And we're hoping that with cooperation and partnership with the importers, we can realize better benefits to consumers, which is what we are seeking to provide. But Mr. Speaker, while all that is being done, and the government is doing its best, I know sometimes we like to talk about the concept of imported inflation. I don't really like the concept, because by the very nature, inflation, a lot of it has to do with imports. So it's sort of Right. No, but the fact is, the reason why you end up in an inflationary situation is because you have to import a lot of the stuff you're consuming. So therefore, well, it's then why say, well, I forget the English expression for that. Parep, you can remember? Help me out. It's sort of a redundancy, but there's another nicer expression for that. But what, right, oxymoron sort of thing. Right, that's it. But you see, the point is, and the member for Rosenhoff said that we have to learn to control our taste and consume as much as possible the things that we produce locally. We have to consume what we produce locally. That's right. We have to consume what we produce locally.